Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wine. Welcome back to art class. Today we will be working with different textured objects to create a sample printing plate for our collage prints. So today you will need items with lots of different textures. The first thing that you should have done is look through these bins and felt what different textures you could find and see what different texture words you could use to describe those objects. What objects can you find that are rough or soft or sandy or bumpy, slick, woven, fluffy, furry, or hairy? There are lots of different texture words that you can use to describe the objects in this bin. Then you will also need some scissors because these objects are too big for us to use. So you'll want to cut out just some sample sizes. Today you're not trying to make a real artwork, or you're definitely not trying to make an object of any kind. You're just creating some sample textures. Once you have cut out some of those sample textures, you will need to arrange them on your practice printing plate. Now the printing plate is just going to be a heavy piece of cardboard, and you want to make sure that all the textures you have selected will fit. You can take every item in this bin and you can cut it down into smaller shapes and smaller sizes. One interesting thing that you might want to do is I am going to make sure that we include a piece of foam in each bin. So this foam is really interesting because instead of just being a plain piece of foam, you can actually use an object like a ballpoint pen to create different kinds of lines and different kinds of textures on this foam printing plate. Think about how you might use different parts of the pen in different ways to create different designs and different textures on this foam printing plate. So there are lots of different opportunities for you here to see what kinds of different textures you could even create on your own in this foam printing plate. Then once you have that done, you're ready to start gluing. Now the important thing today when you're gluing is that you use enough glue to hold every object securely. So today we're going to be using liquid glue. Make sure you twist the top open, and you just want to make sure that every object gets a lot of glue. This is going to be really important because when we get to the printing process, you really want to make sure that these items are glued securely. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to glue each one of these items down. Sometimes it's a little tricky because some of these items are a little hard to put glue on. So for that, I might want to have a piece of newspaper around. That way I can slide my printing plate up, and when I'm ready to put glue on this, I can really make sure I get a lot of glue on the background without ruining my printing plate. I can throw the newspaper away later. And then once I have a lot of glue on this object, I can just glue it down. The important thing, because you are making a collage print, is that every object that you are gluing gets glued flat. So I want to make sure I get enough glue to hold those edges down and that I glue the objects flat. Now some of the objects that are a little bit trickier to glue are some of these different kinds of strings. If you're gluing an object that's already flat, the easiest thing to do is to put the glue right on the back of that object. But if I'm gluing something that is already a long, thin string or a piece of yarn, whoops, make sure that gets on my printing plate, then sometimes the easiest thing to do is sort of measure how long it is. Maybe I could even use a pen or a pencil to mark the length of it. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glue and I'm going to draw a long line of glue between those 2 points. And then I'm going to place this object right down on top of the glue. I might have to hold it down a few moments to make sure that it sticks. And remember, if you get a little bit of glue on your fingers, you can just rub and that glue is going to go away. So that's all we're going to be doing today, is collecting our objects, cutting them out, and then using glue to secure them. One other trick to remember, especially if I'm gluing those straight objects and I'm putting the glue directly onto my printing plate, is remember you want to touch the glue down to that printing plate. Then when you draw the line, it'll be really easy to control where that glue goes. Once you have all of your objects glued down, the last thing to remember is we want to keep careful care of our glue bottles so that they will last a long time. So remember, a good artist, when they are finished with their glue bottle, is always going to twist the lid completely shut, wipe the glue off, and then you can take that glue again that's on your fingers and you can just rub. I hope you have a wonderful week. I can't wait to see the different textures you're ready to try out. And until next time, keep on creating.